Caleb, is there any particular story that sticks out to you more than any others growing up? Cryptids or paranormal or any of that?
Oh man, that's kind of one of those like where to start questions. Well, I've always been kind of, it's like I've always kind of been a little bit on the fence with the Patterson-Gimlin film. I mean, I know that that one is like a very, very widely, everybody knows that one. It's the definitive footage of Bigfoot. And there's been points in my life where I've really just been just staring that thing down and just trying to kind of play devil's advocate with myself, because I am one of those people that I 100% want to believe that cryptids like Sasquatch exist. And sometimes I question whether the Patterson Gimlin film is somebody in a costume. I have to say, no matter what, it was a very, very good looking costume if it was. And, I bring that one up just because, that I feel like is so many people's first entry into the world of cryptozoology. You see that footage and you're like, dang, that thing looks really good. And then probably around 20 years ago or so, they started coming out with those image stabilization versions of it where
Right.
they kind of, they kind of make it move not as just the camera flying all over the place. And I've had so many nights where I've just been like, just having a drink and just looking at that thing and going, man, I don't know. But whether that, let's just say for the sake of conversation, that one is a hoax. All right. That to me does not say that just because that is a hoax or could be a hoax, it doesn't say to me that Sasquatch doesn't exist, because you and I spoke on the phone very briefly just to make sure that we had all the things set up for the podcast here. And I kind of mentioned that, when talking to my brother, this guy has looked into the Bigfoot situation for, I mean, his entire life. I mean, seriously looked into it and researched. And Micah is an incredible researcher. And much like when me and Austin will get together and start talking about this stuff, me and the bro almost always end up talking about weird stuff. It's gonna go that way. And he has told me stories about some of these park rangers that have worked out in the thoroughfare of Yellowstone National Park and seen things that they would describe as being a Sasquatch that they literally otherwise could not explain. I remember one particular story talking about how this ranger was out and there was this kind of clearing, and there on kind of the other side of where this clearing would be, I would say it's probably a little less than half the size of a football field or around that size, or at least that's kind of what I'm remembering from it. But he said he watched this dark bipedal hairy creature kind of creep along the edge of the where the forest started there, and he said that it looked like it was tracking game. And he said that it would look out kind of, warily, trying to, make sure that it's not scaring off anything. And it would kind of look out from under the tree cover, and then it would just very, very slowly walk along the side of the trees there. And he said he watched this thing for quite a few minutes, and then it just kind of disappeared off into the woods. And I just have to say that for a decorated park ranger that's been working in Yellowstone for how many ever years of their life and has been in nature and witnessed these things, it is pretty incredible when you hear somebody that's that credentialed coming out with a story that detailed about what is more than likely a Sasquatch. So anyway, that's my
Right.
long-winded way in saying that, when it comes to cryptids, Bigfoot is still probably the king.